Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the ceremony for the 2021 Research in Film Awards. My name is Christopher Smith, and I am the Executive Chair of the Arts and Humanities Research Council. I am delighted to be here tonight introducing the 7th Annual Research in Film Awards, otherwise known as RIFA. RIFA is the only UK film awards to celebrate the best in short-form filmmaking inspired by the arts and humanities. Each year, we look forward to celebrating the successes of our research community and to acknowledging the wonderfully varied, challenging, and vital research currently taking place in the arts and humanities. Since 2015, RIFA has received nominations for over 1,000 films, representing more than 100 UK universities and research organisations, as well as members of the public, and it has awarded 30 prizes to both new and experienced researchers and filmmakers. This year, we welcomed a record number of applications, making this the most competitive RIFA Awards to date, and this is reflected in the quality of the films represented tonight. These are films that have been described by our judging panel as inspired, profoundly moving and thoughtful, and compelling viewing. 5 prizes will be awarded this evening to films that are truly deserving in terms of their storytelling, their technical quality, and their important and valuable research, demonstrating excellence across the board. The arts and humanities touch every aspect of our lives, and film, as RIFA demonstrates, can be a particularly powerful conduit for telling the story of research. Film can connect us to other people, places and experiences in an instant. It can challenge us, it can move us, it can make clear, complex ideas, and it can get to the very heart of the matter and make us think or act differently. RIFA encourages films that tell the story of research in an accessible way, and each year we welcome nominations into 5 categories, from work by researchers from across all career stages, to animated films, to our special category, which for a 2nd year running has focused on the climate emergency. The films in this category, which we hope to deliver screenings of across the UK next spring, not only demonstrate the relevance of arts and humanities research to tackling the climate emergency, but they also show the efficacy of film as a medium which can evoke feelings and inspire positive action. We hope that tonight will pave the way for future successes in film and research for our nominees and winners. As often, RIFA is only just the beginning for many, with previous winners having gone on to achieve success at BAFTA and other high-profile awards and film festivals. But before we dive into toasting this year's winners, I'd like to take a moment to thank AHRC staff for their vital role in running these awards, our prestigious panel of judges and presenters for so generously sharing their time, expertise and support, and most importantly of all, our researchers and filmmakers for taking part in RIFA 2021 and for joining us here tonight. The awards would not be possible without your participation. So, without further ado, I will hand over to broadcaster and historian Dr. Yanina Ramirez, who will be our host for this evening. Let's see and enjoy the nominees and winners for RIFA 2021. Thank you.
Thank you, Christopher, and welcome everyone to the Research in Film Awards 2021. I'm your host for tonight, Dr. Yanina Ramirez. I'm delighted to be guiding you this evening through our 5 categories. Each is important in its own way, and each has its own stable of exciting nominations. Over the course of the next hour, we'll be exploring films created by upcoming talents in the arts and humanities, created by PhD students and early career researchers in our Best Doctoral or Early Career Film of the Year category. We'll also be looking at animated films that explore a broad range of topics and demonstrate complexity in technical skill and storytelling, from illustration to stop motion, in our Best Animated Film of the Year category. We'll look at films that delve into the challenges facing our planet as we confront the climate emergency and pose thought-provoking questions and hopefully solutions in our Best Climate Emergency Film of the Year category. We'll look at films that celebrate remarkable and interesting stories based on arts and humanities research in our Inspiration Award category. And finally, films that showcase outstanding cutting-edge research taking place in our communities from researchers from all career stages in our Best Research Film of the Year category. Whilst each category can only have one winner, being nominated for a RIFA is a significant commendation in itself. And each of the films represented here tonight have been chosen because of their compelling stories and their makers' excellent contributions to research. The winner of each category tonight will receive a trophy and prize money of £5,000 to go towards a future filmmaking project. They will also appear in a special episode of BBC Radio 3's New Thinking podcast, which will be broadcast next week. We'll be live tweeting the ceremony this evening over on the AHRC Twitter account, and we encourage you to join in the conversation at home by following the RIFA 2021 hashtag on social media and sharing your thoughts about the nominated and winning films with us. Our first category of the night, the Best Doctoral or Early Career Film of the Year, celebrates the work of emerging researchers in the arts and humanities. The work of this new generation of researchers is so vital for sustaining the future of the arts and humanities. And we hope that for tonight's nominees, RIFA becomes the first step in a long career of sharing their research with the wider public through creative media such as film. This year's judges for this category include Femi Kolade, Director of Studies at the London Film School, Professor Shahida Bari from the University of the Arts, who is a presenter for BBC Radio 3 and BBC Arts TV, and an AHRC BBC New Generation thinker, and Professor Noe Mendele, Director of the Scottish Documentary Institute. They describe the shortlisted films in this category as being wonderfully thoughtful, atmospheric, intelligent, and insightful. To introduce this first category, we're joined by Jessica Loveland. Jessica is Head of New Writing at the BBC's Writers' Room in Salford, where she seeks out and supports new script writers, searching for unique voices and developing talent through the BBC's writers' groups. She is also the former director of the British Film Institute Network, which supports budding filmmakers across the UK through funding and training opportunities and industry insights. Who better to present our award for emerging researchers? Over to you, Jessica.
Thanks very much, Janina. It's lovely to be here this evening. I'm thrilled to present the Best Doctoral or Early Career Film of the Year, which celebrates the very best research films made by fresh talent in the arts and humanities. The researchers represented in this category tonight are all in the early stages of their research careers, and their films demonstrate brilliant new ideas and exciting promise of things to come. The films shortlisted in this category not only showcase creative and innovative storytelling, but they also pose important social and cultural questions. Their variety in subject matter is testament to the breadth and diversity of the new arts and humanities research currently taking place. So, the nominees for the Best Doctoral or Early Career Film of the Year are, firstly, Drawing on Autism by Alex Widdowson from Queen Mary University of London, Vicky Freund, Kira Kerr, and Dan Castro. This film, which is also nominated for the Best Animated Film of the Year, investigates the ethical issues associated with representing autism in animated documentaries. It demonstrates the importance of collaborative methods to ensure that neurodivergent subjects can have input on the ways they are portrayed on film. Go Ahead Remix, also nominated for the Inspiration Award and created by Chen Yu Lin from the Universities of Nottingham and Liverpool and Charlotte Sawyer. This film examines the relationship between music and politics, focusing on the Megaport Festival in Taiwan, which became a loci for Taiwan-China relations and human rights issues to be articulated and performed during the pandemic. Life After Life, The Greeks of Istanbul, by Gonal Bozzolu from Newcastle University, Cem Hakverdi and Ian MacDonald, with music by Chris Whitehead and Cafe Aman Istanbul. This film explores what it means for a minority community, the historic Greek population of Istanbul, to live with a difficult past of state violence. Uru by Rob St. John from Glasgow University. This film documents the landscape of the military island of Uru on the Finnish archipelago and uses sonification techniques to translate data about the island's changing landscape into musical compositions. And The Voice of Sierra Nevada by Agata Lulkowska from Staffordshire University, and featuring music by David Paling and Corbawad, and on-screen appearances from Amado Villafania, Chaparro, Pablo Mora, Angel Villafania, Delia Villafania, and Jean Carlos Molina. This film follows the story of a collective of Indigenous filmmakers living in Colombia who, through film, aim to gain agency, protect their cultural identity, and decolonize and confront the misrepresentations of Indigenous people made by Western filmmakers in the past. And here are the films.
Asked me not to be too identifiable, so that was something I had in my mind. It was also my intention not to make any sort of comment about autism, but I think while it wasn't explicitly in reference to the idea of autism, it took place in the context of discussing autism. Looking back, how can it possibly not be affected by the 2-hour conversation we'd had? Should we watch it again before?
Yeah.
电视机也是电脑头前的朋友讲几句话。I hope all the fans who are watching the live stream right now, you can get rid of the hardship and worries temporarily for the past year. Things will get better. The world will get better. We all will get better soon.
İstanbul. Memleketim, doğduğum yer, çok sevdiğim bir yer. Eski İstanbulluları çok hasret ediyorum. Artık yok.
Visited the Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta before, the place where the indigenous communities I was interested in lived. And I thought I had a decent idea of what to expect. Not only did I turn out to be acutely aware of the power of the image, the importance of authorship and dissemination, but we were also extremely active in internal and external talks about indigenous communication.
And the winner is Drawing on Autism. Here to accept the award this evening is Alex Widdowson.
Well, amazing. Thank you so much, I'd obviously like to thank my supervisors, Janet Harward and Stephen Eastwood at Queen Mary University, and the participant who took part in the film. Obviously, it's all down to him. He wanted to be anonymous, so I can't really thank him too directly. And my partner, obviously, and I really appreciate particularly responses from the autistic people who've seen the film, who have told me, given their support to me. So it means a lot to me. So thank you so much.
Many congratulations, Alex. And we've got a short clip of your winning film to show everyone now.
Some of your work verges on grotesque caricatures, so I wouldn't say that was grotesque.
No. Oh, okay, well that's good.
Was that the intention?
No, it wasn't at all. When I was speaking to my supervisor the other day, I told him about this little clip that I made before I started the PhD. And he was like, oh, it's funny. I mean, when I watch it now, first thing I thought when I looked at that character design was, he looks like an alien.
Thank you, Jessica. And congratulations to Alex on your film, Drawing on Autism. It's both exciting and heartening to see the wonderful variety of new arts and humanities research taking place at the moment. Don't forget to let us know your thoughts on the films over on social media and follow #RIFA2021. Our second category this evening is the Best Animated Film of the Year, a relatively new category which was introduced in 2020 to recognise films that use animation to communicate complex or challenging ideas. The arts and humanities touch every aspect of our lives, and with this vast tapestry of human experience to illustrate, animation often has the greatest potential to bring this research to life, using techniques and storytelling methods that are sometimes abstract, sometimes literal, but are always creative. The films in this category were judged by Lamia Debussy, who is the head of arts at the BBC, Professor Brigitte Hosea from the University for the Creative Arts, and the BAFTA-winning animation director, Professor Jonathan Hodgson, and was selected for both the quality of their research as well as their technical ability. They were described as demonstrating an extremely sophisticated use of rhythm, sound, and texture, and as being evocative and emotionally compelling. Here to present the award this evening is the animator and director, Mole Hill, whose adaptation of Edward Lear's poem, The Owl and the Pussycat, won this year's BAFTA for the Best British Animation Short. Mole has worked in animation for over 35 years, starting out at Channel 4, and is best known for his use of stop frame, flash animation, and waximation techniques, and his work on Yo-Ho Ahoy and the reboot of The Clangers. So let's see this year's nominees.
Is that me then? Ooh. Oh, more speak. Sorry. Yes, sorry, I thought we were going to see the nominees then. Yeah, I'm delighted to present the Best Animated Film of the Year. This category recognises films that have used animation to explore ideas and stories in arts and humanities research. The films nominated this evening are broad in subject matter and cover everything from migration to the representation of autism on screen. These films were shortlisted because they all demonstrate creative, powerful and thoughtful storytelling, and they use impressive technical ability to express complex ideas and research. The nominees for the Best Animated Film of the Year are Drawing on Autism by Alex Widdowson from Queen Mary University of London, Vicky Freund, Kira Kerr and Dan Castro. This film, also nominated for the Best Doctoral or Early Career Film of the Year, investigates the ethical issues associated with representing autism in animated documentaries. It demonstrates the importance of collaborative methods to ensure that neurodivergent subjects can have input on the ways that they are portrayed on film. For Manesh by Dr. Lucy Baker from the University of Oxford, Divakar Sakari Kupan and Sumit Chavan. This film, which is also nominated for the Best Research Film of the Year, traces the day-to-day lived experiences of auto rickshaw drivers in India and the impact of the new digital payment technologies on their already precarious financial circumstances. Operation Berlin, The Children Who Fought the War in Colombia by Professor Paul Cook from the University of Leeds, Dr. Matt Charles from the University of Rosario in Colombia, Cecilia Trasolvina, Carolina Lucio and Nicolas Sanchez. This film explores how former child soldiers who fought under the FARC in the Colombian Civil War negotiated the human rights violations they experienced. The Story of Migration by Dr. Benjamin Werku-Dix from Positive Negatives at SOAS, the University of London, Professor Heaven Crawley, Carrie Fransman, Elsie Colley, Jonathan Plackett, Richard Hughes and Dr. Gameli Todrol. This film tells the complex historical and contemporary story of migration and global inequalities and challenges the idea that most migration occurs from the global south to the global north. Timeline by Osbert Parker from the National Film and Television School, Aditi Anand, Sue McAlpine, Andrew Steeds and Matthew Plowright from the Migration Museum, and Rob Zeliger, Fiona Pitkin, Zola Parker, Ethan Parker and Debbie Menirue. This film, which is also nominated for the Inspiration Award, was made for the Migration Museum, charts 400 years of British emigration and uses humanitarian and historical research to explore the impact of this mass movement on the world. And here are the films.
What I'm trying to do is work out whether I've done a bad job or a good job, or I shouldn't worry so much.
Well, I guess in the context of your research, it's food for thought. In the context of you just doing a animation exercise, I don't know. I didn't feel misrepresented. And in some levels, I kind of enjoy that meme being out there now.
ಮಳೆ ಬರಂಗಿದೆ ಹುಷಾರಣ.
ಮೇಡಮ್, ನೀವು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರೋ ಲೊಕೇಶನ್ಗಿಂತ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ದೂರ ಹೋಗಬೇಕು. ಒಂದು 10 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಕೊಡಿ.
ಆ್ಯಪಲ್ಲಿ ತೋರಿಸೋ ಅಷ್ಟು ಇಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ.
ಮೇಡಮ್, ಮಳೆ ಬರ್ತಿದೆ. ನೀವು ಹಾಕಿರೋ ಲೊಕೇಶನ್ಗಿಂತ ದೂರ ಹೋಗಬೇಕು.
Había una muchacha que se hizo la muerta. Tenía un tiro en una pierna. Ella se echó sangre de otro. Fueron 17 los que estaban ahí muertos. Quedaron sin la cara y con la cabeza destrozada porque fueron tiros de gracia. Nosotros los reconocíamos solo por el cuerpo y la ropa que ellos usaban. Decíamos, este es fulano de tal. Entre ellos había 3 niños. Un niño y 2 niñas. Una se llamaba Edith. Le decían la gordita Edith. Al pelado le decían Feiner o algo así. Y la otra niña se llamaba Dayan.
Over the past 20 years, more than 96% of the world's population has not migrated. The bigger challenge facing the world is rising inequality. Those in poverty may be earning more, but since 1980, the richest 1% of people grabs twice as much income growth as the poorest 50%.
And the winner is Timeline. Here to accept the award this evening is Aditi Anand from the Migration Museum.
Wow, thank you. Yeah, I'm really delighted to accept this award on behalf of Osbert Parker. Osbert couldn't be here tonight because he's filming another project, but he asked me to just thank the AHRC and to congratulate all the fellow nominees, because it's really a formidable group of films, and to thank Rob, who did the fantastic sound design on the project. We commissioned Osbert to make this film for an exhibition that we have at the Migration Museum currently called Departures. And we said, can you tell a 400-year history in 3 minutes, please? And we were so grateful that Osbert took on that challenge and did such an incredible and creative response to that brief, pulling together archival materials, ephemera, history, original research into something that's, truly a work of art. So yeah, we're just really delighted for him. And you can come and see the film at the museum, where it's, delighting and reaching lots of different audiences. Thank you.
That's fantastic. Great. Well, congratulations again to everybody involved, and pass you back to Janina.
Thank you, Mole, and congratulations to Timeline, to Osbert Parker, the film's creator, and to Aditi and her colleagues at the Migration Museum. Timeline is a fascinating and engaging film encapsulating a broad span of British history. The winning video was Timeline, and that was by Osbert Parker and Aditi. We move on now to our third award of the night, the Best Climate Emergency Film of the Year. Judged this year by Dr. Amira Sawas, Director of Programmes and Research at Climate Outreach, Professor Joe Smith, Director of the Royal Geographical Society, and Natalie Bennett, former leader of the Green Party. This category is our special category, which is open to the public for a second year running in honour of the UK holding the presidency for COP26. We have celebrated films that demonstrate the relevance of the arts and humanities research to tackling the climate emergency. The films nominated tonight explore a variety of topics, from coastal erosion to glacial retreat, to rewilding and inspiring future generations to make a difference. Each shows how the issues and debates surrounding the climate emergency is of critical importance right now. As these films reveal, the arts and humanities can offer unique approaches to understanding weather, climate change, and natural history, and solutions for engaging people in caring for and protecting their environment. We're joined this evening by Julian Hector, who is head of the BBC Studios Natural History Unit. Once described by Sir David Attenborough as one of the most inventive producers in radio, Julian leads the unit that has created the profoundly impactful award-winning documentary series Blue Planet and Planet Earth, which have been credited with driving home the urgency of the climate emergency to the masses. Julian wrote and produced the Lakes and Rivers episodes of the BBC's Wild Africa series and has produced a number of popular series, including Attenborough's Life Stories on Radio 4, The Tigers About the House, Migration Live, World on the Move, Saving Species, and Shared Planet. It's a pleasure to introduce Julian as he shares this evening's nominations.
Thank you very much. I'm absolutely thrilled to present this year's special category, the Best Climate Emergency Film of the Year. The eyes of the world have been on Glasgow for the past month as world leaders have come together for COP26, and the need to communicate the challenges facing our planet has never felt more pressing. The films nominated for this category tonight demonstrate how arts and humanities research can help us to tackle the climate emergency through the medium of film. These are films that showcase how arts and humanities research can give us the tools as individuals and as society at large to understand environmental change, to adapt and be resilient to face it, and to communicate the threats of our planet to the world. The nominees for the Best Climate Emergency Film of the Year are After Ice by Kieran Baxter from the University of Dundee, Thorvandur Arnason and M. Jackson. This film explores the physical, aesthetic and personal impacts of recent glacier melt in southeast Iceland. Insecure, intergenerational stories of a coastal community facing climate change impacts by Katie Parsons, Florence Halstead, Lisa Jones, Matthew Chung from the University of Hull. This film explores the dynamic and rapidly eroding coastline of the town of Withersea and the local community's relationship with this changing seascape. Kichen Dut Sa, Time and the Seashell, Aitunde Wee Jansen from the University of Edinburgh, Armando Bautista Gracia, Enrica Chandonnet, Ali Murray, and Stephen Horn. This film relates the protection of indigenous cultural heritage in Mexico and the revitalization of threatened languages to the protection of landscape and environment. Newland, A New Vision for a Wilder Future by Susie Cross, Dave Lynch, Schultz and Dorr, Steve Lord, and Martin Robinson. This film weaves together interviews with farmers Andrew and Ted Hughes to explore how the agricultural community is moving towards less intensive methods of farming and adopting more sustainable practices. The Promise by Chi Tai, Simon Ratcliffe, Katie Lung, Ruth Chan, Chris Chow, and John Clark. This film is an adaptation of the New York Times Best Illustrated Book of the Year, written by Nicola Davies and illustrated by Laura Carlin. The story celebrates the practice of rewilding, both physically and metaphorically, and plays on the idea that to rewild the world, you must first rewild yourself. And here are the films.
Glacier has lost 100 meters in thickness. To some locals, it's as if Hennebergsjokull was a balloon, gently deflating, sinking back down to the ground.
Standing in her back garden the night after the storm, 6 meters of her garden was taken by the sea. She was surprised, her eyes filled with sorrow. The coffins were hanging off the cliff. She started breathing heavily, it was so close to the house, her hands shaking with anxiety.
Leeds to Wivensey. They lived in Leeds. They came to Wivensey for a cheap mini break. They loved the place immediately, and with a grin on their face, decided they want to move here. They went back to Leeds to put their house on the market and looked for a home, still not knowing anything about coastal erosion.
Shidakwanya shita shimada. Sakotonsa kotovida nuni. Didandi tuu sanchito de etata. Sandidandi tuu duntuku etatasa.
Freedom, space, animals. Just loved every minute of it, you know. Watching nature reproduce every year, and it just sticks with you, you know.
Yeah, that's the best part of the experience, really. Connection to nature and remembering summers, chucking bales about.
Acorns. I understood the promise I had made. I held a forest in my arms. And for the first time in my life, I felt lucky.
And the winner is Newland, A New Vision for a Wilder Future. And here to accept the award this evening is Susie Cross.
Thank you, Julian. I'm blown away. I'm deeply honoured to accept this on behalf of our collaborators on Newland. The film was made with farmers in mind. They witnessed change over decades at a landscape level, and they're among the first to feel it and to adapt. As custodians, they're working at the margins where private land meets public land and where nature meets agriculture. And they play a significant role in maintaining and shaping the countryside. I'm truly honoured to have had the opportunity to platform some of these voices. Andrew reminds us that you can't just take in life, you have to give something back. So thank you to Andrew and Ted for sharing your story. It's people like you who plant the trees for future generations to sit under. And thank you to Joel, Martin and Steve for the part you played in helping us see and hear nature from a different perspective. And thanks to Graham Huggan, David Higgins, and Pippa Marland for seeding the ground from which this project grows, and for the ongoing support. And last of all, thanks to Dave Lynch, the epitome of my esteem and my long-term collaborator, who stands shoulder to shoulder with me as we continue to explore artistic ways to achieve impact, to offer agency for change, and to inspire others to love and protect our planet. I'm eternally grateful to have received this. Thank you. And I'm excited about what the future holds. Thanks to everybody at AHRC, and well done to all the other shortlisters. Thank you.
Well done indeed. Congratulations, Susie, and to all the team behind Newland, and as you say, to absolutely everybody. And now we have a short clip to share of the film.
So it'll spoil a bit of the view, will that train? Cut straight through the middle of the estate.
Straight through the heart of it, really. This is the heart of the estate.
Luckily, all the grazing's on one side and all the arables on the other.
We'll have to keep a lot less cattle because it will take a big old slice out of the middle of it. It just spoils the aesthetics of the place, doesn't it, and the tranquility of the place.
Thank you, Julian. Congratulations to Susie. What a lovely acceptance speech. And to all of the team behind Newland, a new vision for a wilder future. And I reiterate those thoughts. Congratulations to all the nominees. Newland is a beautiful, meditative film that makes us think about farming and land use for a future generation. If you've enjoyed watching clips from our nominated and winning films so far, let us know on social media. You can join the conversation by following #RIFA2021. And now on to our fourth category of the night, the Inspiration Award. This category was judged by the broadcaster Zainab Badawi, Dr. Gus Casely-Hayford, the director of the V&A East, and Professor Paul Grange from the University of Nottingham. Like the best climate emergency film of the year, this category is open to the public and recognises films which have been inspired by the arts and humanities. Many of the films in this category demonstrate the power of effective engagement with partner organisations and members of the local community by giving voice to those whose experiences are being told on film. This award is our broadest one, and the films this evening tell a hugely varied range of stories, which our judges described as being at times vibrant and atmospheric, and at others profoundly moving. To introduce this category, we welcome BAFTA and Sundance nominator, writer and director, Dr. Tina Gavari, who is also a senior lecturer in English, film and media at the University of Newcastle. Tina is known for her films and TV shows which deliver challenging stories through an observational perspective. She's worked in war zones and in guerrilla filmmaking and holds a number of acclaimed titles to her name, including the BAFTA-nominated feature film, I Am Nazreen, The Good Iranian, and Tribalism is Killing Us. In 1997, Tina established the BAFTA-nominated media production company, Bridge Plus Tunnel, to support unheard voices and unheard stories. And in 2017, she was appointed into the BAFTA Academy. Let's hand over to Tina to see this evening's nominees for the Inspiration Award.
Thank you. I'm delighted to present the Inspiration Award tonight. The arts and humanities touch every aspect of our lives, and this award celebrates films which draw inspiration from the arts and humanities research. These films that share motivational or inspiring stories fire up our imagination. They move us emotionally and they encourage us to stop and think. Tonight's nominees are selected by our judges because these stories were felt to be especially impactful and thought-provoking, and the messages they share are both important and at times deeply poignant. The nominees for the Inspiration Award are Go Ahead Remix, also nominated for the Best Doctoral or Early Career Film of the Year, and created by Chen Yu Lin from the Universities of Nottingham and Liverpool, and Charlotte Sawyer. This film explores the Megaport Festival in Taiwan, which took place during the pandemic, and provided a stage for Taiwan-Chinese relations and human rights issues to be vocalized. Second film is Preserving the Palace by Professor Henrik Schoenfeld, Cambridge Tucker, Jill Hurst, Betty Woosner, Andy Richards, and Mark Simon Knight. This film also is nominated for the Best Research Film of the Year, follows one of the most complex heritage renovation projects ever undertaken in the UK to make the Palace of Westminster become carbon neutral. The next film is The Re-Education of G. Jaihu by Jan McLeod G. Nick Ewert, Mikkel Eriksson, and Stephen Horn, Jonas Mortensen, S. Louisa Y., Melanie Louis, and Jeremy Taylor. So sorry for butchering all those names. I'm doing my best. This film tells the story of youth re-education during the Cultural Revolution in China, one of the largest social experiments in human history. The fourth film is The Wound is Where the Light Enters by Iraj Akolja, Ezequiel Romero Garcia, Rachel Mambo, Atala Mercy, Tusha Golgale, and Barbara Atuku. This film is inspired by the docu-dance performance entitled Otino Alwehu Ilum, and draws on research at Birmingham University, which explores the life courses of children born of war rape. It throws light on the pain, stigma, and discrimination faced by these children, and it shows paths for healing. The final film is Timeline, also nominated for the Best Animation Film of the Year and created by Osbert Parker, Aditi Anand, Sue McAlpine, Andrew Steeds, Matthew Plowright, Rob Segliga, Fiona Parkin, Zola Parker, Ethan Parker, and Debbie Meniru. Timeline tells Britain's immigration story from the first English settlers in North America to the signing of the Treaty of Maastricht and beyond. And here are the films. A montage is coming up next.
安尼，互你去看表演，好吧？等一下爸母表演，好吧？你甲小弟做伙去看表演，好吧？
乖乖哦，
爱乖乖。你画好啊？等你啊，姐嘛，你画怎啊？好，要表演啊！好，你先来去。
Being able to take Henrik's work and create something like this BIM model, which is a three-dimensional view of what we are, will save enormous amounts of time, enormous amounts of complexity of where we would normally go in on a major project side.
Once you've got that scan data, you can then begin to build a model from it. What we're now able to do with Henrik's research is make use of that very useful, very valuable report and studies and research to begin to integrate that information into the model so that we can actually model what you can't see. And that's where it really gets quite special.
没有真不容易，这么40年前我就找这块石头。好的，谢谢。应该拍全身的吧？拍全身吧？应该拍全身的。好的好的。我那次是全身的。拍全身的。你把脚也拍到的。好的，好好。1、2、3。
This is our country, Uganda. It has been a war zone since 1962. Many wars. On the surface, you may not see the wounds. But I promise you, they run deep.
Okay, I think I'm live. And the winner is The Wound is Where the Light Enters. And here to accept the award is Iraj Akolja. Apologies again for butchering your name. And he will give a short speech. Over to you, Iraj.
Thank you very much. The Wound is Where the Light Enters is the story of 15 children born of war in northern Uganda coming together to make a performance based on their memories. And I want to dedicate this award to them because had it not been for their extraordinarily brave participation in the program, we would have never been able to make the film. I also want to dedicate this award to Professor Dr. Sabina Lee and Mr. Darrell Toulon, who invited us to make this film, and they created this performance. And finally, to our Ugandan team, Barbara Otuku, Dr. Eunice Apio, and Peace Toneva, who provided invaluable support to the children and they continue to do their work. And finally, I want to say that research in film is so important. These awards are so important because I feel that invaluable research is sitting in universities all across this country and across the world, and it has to meet cinema because then the effect can be magnified and taken to another dimension. So thank you, Research in Film Awards and Arts and Humanities Research Council, for acknowledging our film. Thank you from the bottom of our heart. We truly, truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Wonderful. Couldn't agree with that more. Films are important. And here we are going to watch a clip from the film. So let's see a little bit of the winning.
I think some people, knowing that this is about creating a performance, they expected to come on the first day and I said, okay, the piece starts like this. But instead of that, we've done improvisation. We started learning dance. The writing tasks in the beginning were also a challenge because they needed a lot of time to think and to create these sentences. But what I wanted was impulsive, just throwing it out of your mind into your hand, not even like thinking about it.
Mercy, what was the most difficult one? All of them was difficult.
Thank you, Tina, and congratulations to Diraj Akolka and the team behind The Wound is Where the Light Enters. It's an important and very moving film. We've now come to our fifth and final category of the night, and this was a category that I had the pleasure of judging, along with broadcaster and historian Dan Snow and documentary filmmaker Kim Logionoto. The Best Research Film of the Year celebrates films that bring truly exceptional research stories to wider attention and which demonstrate excellent practice in the dissemination of their findings. The films nominated this evening cover serious and important topics, from exploring social issues such as community well-being and job security, to engaging with refugees, to responding to conflict, and to proposing solutions for carbon-neutral architecture. Each film demonstrates profound and positive impact through research. To present our final category, I'm delighted to be joined this evening by media professional Manisha Shah. Manisha is the chair of Wikimedia UK and a senior independent member on the AHRC Council. She is also a board member for the Office for Students, a non-executive member of Ofcom's Content Board, and a lay member of the Queen's Council Appointments Panel. Between 2000 and 2010, Manisha was an executive director at BBC Worldwide, and in 2015, she was invited by the Prime Minister to join the Committee on Standards in Public Life. Here's Manisha to present the last category of the night.
Thank you very much. I am thrilled to present the final category of the evening, the Best Research Film of the Year. This category is for the very best film made as an output or byproduct of arts and humanities research in the UK. The films nominated tonight were chosen by the judges for being impactful, technically impressive, thought-provoking, and at times challenging. The winning film in particular was described as being a feast for the eyes ears, and mind. The research clear and the messages powerful. Films in this category showcase research that is at the forefront of its field, bring new research to wider attention, and demonstrate the importance of research in arts and humanities. The nominees for the Best Research Film of the Year are Calling Across Borders by Dr. Sarah Jackson from Nottingham Trent University, Ibrahim Ismail, Leah Geyer, Rosie Ash, and Maria Bellick. This film was made in collaboration with the refugee arts organisation Compass Collective, which supports young people seeking sanctuary in the UK. It is grounded in Sarah Jackson's research on literature and telephony, and charts a series of workshops that were held during lockdown when young refugees were invited to reflect on their relationship with the telephone and to leave voicemail messages for those to whom they would most like to speak. Deep Structure by Ilona Segar from the Royal College of Art. This film explores the links between architecture, health, and community well-being through the lens of Sheffield's Park Hill Estate, designed in 1961, and Hope Cement Works, a material factory which opened in 1929. It thinks about the factory and the estate as living bodies, machines for health, good and bad, and considers the ways bodies and buildings are mapped, archived, and translated into data. For Mahesh, by Dr. Lucy Baker from the University of Oxford, Divakar Sakari-Kuppan, and Sumit Chavan. This film, which was also nominated for the Best Animated Film of the Year, explores the negative impacts of digital payment technologies on rickshaw drivers in India. It is grounded in qualitative research that engaged with Bengaluru's active citizen groups, taxi drivers, and taxi driver workers' unions to address their financial exclusion and employment precarity. Preserving the Palace by Professor Henrik Schoenfeld, Cameron Tucker, Jill Hurst, Betty Wosner, Andy Richards, and Mark Simonite. This film, which was also nominated for the Inspiration Award, demonstrates the power of humanities research to build a more sustainable future. It follows the story of the revitalization of the Palace of Westminster's historic ventilation system, carried out in a major project of refurbishment to make one of the world's greatest iconic buildings carbon neutral. The Art of Peace, Madeleine, by Beate Vogel and Teresa O'Brady-Bean from the University of Manchester, Miguel Barreto de Souza Enriquez from Universidad Jorge Tadeo Lozano in Colombia, Cy Mitchell, Charlie Miller, Ruth Daniel, Roberta McCuhan, Camilla Robinson, Nicolas Palacio, Oriana Garzon, Pamela Ospina, and produced by the Mono Grande. This film explores an emerging area of research and practice in the arts and humanities, which is the role of arts-based approaches to peace building in areas of ongoing conflict. It follows the stories of marginalized youth in the city of Medellin in Colombia who have responded to local ongoing violence by embracing poetry, dance, and rap, demonstrating how community-led arts projects can give agency to local people to change their society and powerfully impact upon peace formation. And here are the films.
The memory of that day still hurts like a fresh wound. I feel your absence every day. I feel the melody of your voice. Its rhythms guide me through all the paths of my life. I'm so proud of the time we shared, the night talks, and even the times you punished me. I'm trying to be a spark like you used to say. I'm trying to be selfless, which has shown me how lucky I am to be your grandson.
Who we are depends on where we are and how we are seen. The ground between appearance and surveillance. Our ability to collect, gather in compliance or resistance is both an embodied and architecturally informed position. In ironing, polishing, rubbing down these desirable stories, what is left out?
ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕಲ್ಲಿ ಲೋನ್ ಸಿಗಲ್ಲ ಸರ್. ಶ್ಯೂರಿಟಿ ಅದು ಇದು ಅಂತ ಏನೇನೋ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಬೇರೆ ದಾರಿ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಬಡ್ಡಿ ವ್ಯಾಪಾರಿಗಳ ಹತ್ರನೇ ಸಾಲ ತಗೋಬೇಕು. ಗಾಡಿ ತೊಗೊಂಡು ಆರ್ ಟಿ ಹೋಗೋದ್ರು ಬ್ರೋಕರ್ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಕೆಲಸ ಆಗಲ್ಲ ಸರ್. ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ ಲಂಚ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ನಮ್ಮ ಜೀವನನೇ ಸೌದೋಗಿದೆ ಸರ್. ನಮಗೂ ಬೇರೆ ದಾರಿ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಗಾಡಿ ರೋಡ್ಗಳಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಸಂಪಾದನೆನೂ ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್.
On the chamber, we can see, for instance, that there is gilded lettering around the edge of each of these square panels. They were actually carved to be permeable to air because these were vents. These were used to extract the hot air from the House of Lords through the ceiling. And on the top of each of these panels, you might have noticed a small little Tudor roses. And they are actually carved to allow fresh air to be injected through the coving of that gallery.
Que no se me va a olvidar ver un Black Hawk que le daba bala a todo ese caserío, al que le cayera le daban bala, un Black Hawk con .40.
Ahí están los muertos que hubo en la anciana guerra. Entonces, hay algo que dicen que quieren volver a exhumarlos, pero como todos los días tiran toneladas de tierra, ya eso no se puede, entonces ya es como considerado campo santo.
And the winner is the Art of Peace Medallion. And here to accept the award this evening is Beate Vogel.
Oh wow, this is fantastic news, and I'm absolutely delighted to accept this award tonight on behalf of obviously the entire team behind the documentary. First of all, we want to thank the AHSC for this award, and also because they funded the Art of Peace project that looked into the transformative potential of the arts in situations of conflict and violence. So this is a joint project between the University of Manchester, Durham University, and In Place of War. And so far, it's been a fantastic project for the last 3 years that enabled us to work with local artists in Colombia, as you've seen in the movie, in Bosnia and Herzegovina, in the DRC, and in Lebanon. Massive thanks to our project partners of In Place of War, and in particular, Bruce Daniel, who's really the creative force behind the project, and the research team on the case study, Teresa and Miguel, who've done a fantastic job of working with the communities, and the producers of Mono Grande, and everyone else really who helped us making this documentary a reality. Fantastic. Yeah, but most of all, I really want to thank the amazing community of the artists from Medellin that we worked with and that you've seen in the documentary. It really is their story, and I hope with the format we found some sort of forum for them to enable them to tell their story to a broader audience and to show the different faces of the city. So ultimately, the documentary shows how powerful arts can be at the community level. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Beate, from all of us. And I'm going to, I think we have another short clip to show from your film.
Ni ideológica, ni económica, solamente pienso en la cultura. Porque todo eso que Medellín logró, hay mucho ahí puesto por los artistas, escritores, músicos, pintores, arquitectos, cineastas.
Thank you, Monisha, and congratulations to Berta Vogel and the team behind the Art of Peace Medellin. I loved watching all of your films. They were beautiful. The Art of Peace was a wonderfully vibrant and moving film which expertly showcased new methodologies and approaches to peace building in arts and humanities research. Congratulations. So this brings us to the end of our categories. A huge congratulations to all of our winners tonight and to our wonderful shortlisted researchers and filmmakers. Thank you to our presenters and judging panels, and thank you to you at home for joining us in this virtual ceremony as we've celebrated these brilliantly diverse, thought-provoking and technically masterful films this evening. The films we've seen tonight have taken us on a journey from Colombia to India. We've explored the natural environment and the impacts of climate change together, and we've seen thoughtful and often moving explorations of peace building and conflict. Tonight's films have truly showcased the breadth and diversity of arts and humanities research taking place right now. If you'd like to find out more about the films on the show tonight, about the Research in Films Awards more generally, or our upcoming screenings of some of our climate emergency films, which will be taking place next spring, you can visit the AHRC website at ahrc.ukri.org and follow us on social media at AHRC Press. But for now, let's toast our nominees and winners for one final time. Congratulations to all our films represented tonight. We hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you and good night.